Hey, good morning. That was very abrupt. That was much. Yeah. All right. Happy Monday. Yeah. Gosh, very startled by my own doing. Anyway, there. Typically, I don't use what's called studio mode. Anyway, I closed studio mode and immediately went to the next scene, which was me. Hey, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, Archie. Hello and greetings. Oh, geez, I am out of my. There we go. Hopefully, the soundboard is going to behave today. We shall see what happens. So, yeah, it is Monday, November 6th. My name is John. This is the Travel Nerd News. I am the Travel Nerd, if you were wondering, if you're watching this after the fact. So, it is a fairly ick day. Lots of wet leaves. We had rain this morning. Currently, the sun is out, but yeah, it's as I've discussed. This is not my time of year. It's not my kind of weather anymore. We're getting into the wet season, which is ick. So, all right, David Lazarus has arrived. Happy day after Guy Fawkes night, David. I don't know. Um, I think I'd like to be there on the 5th of November sometime to actually experience what it's like. I thought I saw clips one time, lots of fireworks and kind of like I would I would I'm wondering if it's like the United States 4th of July kind of thing, but in November. Coffee this morning because it is like 40 degrees here. Let's see. Oh, it just says it's raining. Yeah. So yeah, I'd like to experience the whole Guy Fawkes thing. Get my mask and all that good stuff, and I don't know if the kids do their version of trick or treating or what. Anyway, all right. Let's see. We also got Bodacious Enlightenment is here. Let's see. Archie says cloudy 57 in central New York. Excited that Mayor Pete will be on Colbert tonight. Yeah, I saw that over the weekend. They were promoting that while I was watching. At least I was watching a little bit of Seattle get destroyed by Baltimore. So Jim Smith, if you're watching this after the fact, good win for Baltimore, and really not a very good win or not a very good game for the Seahawks at all. All right. Archie asks, can we alternate the two misery map versions, old source and new Flight Radar 24? Well, sure. I can do that. I can actually get that set up right now. Let me get the old misery map. And Archie, let me know if this is what you're wanting. Not too miserable this morning, so let's switch over to the side-by-side view. Not too miserable. Here's the rain coming through my area. 286 delays, only 6 cancellations this morning. So not too miserable. Let's see. And let's look at all cancellations today. 775 cancellations around the world, so that's less. 53 in the United States today. So this particular Monday, is not very miserable. Let's see. Yeah, not a lot happening there. Let us check. Let me go back. Look at all delays. Let's check delays. We've got delays in San Diego. I'm guessing low clouds. Yep. San Francisco, low clouds. One Benito Juarez International, Mexico City. Doesn't say. And Incheon. So here is the worldwide map. There's Mexico City. There's Incheon. But all in all, doesn't look too miserable. Most of the weather is out in the ocean areas, looks like, so not too miserable. Comparing that to flight radar, here's the current flight statistics from flight radar 24. 16,597 flights. Let's see, make sure this is what Archie was looking. Yeah, that one. Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, sure. I do like looking at this because I'm always interested in what flights people are looking at. So this is kind of a AvGeek thing. From Paris to Havana is being tracked. Looks like it has. Oh, because it declared an emergency. That would be why. Looks like it's going back to Paris. Squawk 770. That would be why. 770 is emergency on board, I believe, or a flight emergency of some sort. So it's going back to Paris. That's why it's being tracked. Now, hopefully that's not too serious. And then, as we have been seeing, something going on in the Middle East. We got a typhoon from the Royal Air Force. UAF Eurofighter Typhoon took off from Cyprus, doing something. So yeah, not good. Not good. Things are not good right now over there. So. Let's see. David says the local Guy Fawkes bonfire burned an effigy of our prime minister. Freedom of speech at its finest, or something, I guess.
How dare you?
I'm sure that was a sentiment by many people. How dare you do such things? Who knows? Let's see. Yeah, pretty quiet this morning, guys. Pretty small group, so I'm just gonna get on to the news. I got this. David sent me this. I had seen it rolling around. I think Maximus had this on his YouTube, and I saw it there as well. But David sent it to me. Looking like Delta Flight Club. A couple surprising things on this that I didn't know they could have a gun. That was my biggest surprise. I didn't know that guns were allowed in the cabin. So, a former Delta co-pilot, he's former because he pulled a gun on the pilot, I believe, is accused of threatening to shoot the captain multiple times if he diverted the plane due to a passenger's medical emergency. So this guy was indicted on account of interference with flight crew. Even he was flight crew. Authorities say he threatened to shoot the captain over a disagreement about diverting the plane. Jonathan Dunn was allowed a firearm in the cockpit through the TSA's Federal Flight Deck Officer Program, which I'm sure Secretary Pete will be doing a thorough review of. We shall see. But let's get to the story. A first officer threatened to shoot the captain of a commercial flight if he diverted a plane due to a passenger's medical emergency, the Department of Transportation Office of Inspector General said. Jonathan Dunn, was indicted by a Utah grand jury October 18th with one count of interference with the flight crew, according to a court document seen by Insider. A Delta Airlines spokesperson confirmed to CBS News that Dunn was working for the carrier as a first officer at the time of the incident, but is no longer a Delta employee. The DOT, whatever they are, Office of whatever, did not specify the airline or the flight. The indictment accuses Dunn of assaulting and intimidating an airline's crew member with a dangerous weapon on 22nd of August 22. According to the Inspector General, Dunn had a disagreement with the captain over a potential flight diversion due to a passenger medical event. Dunn then told the captain they would be shot multiple times if they diverted the flight. Wow. The announcement added that the co-pilot had a weapon because he was authorized to carry a firearm through the Transportation Security Administration's Federal Flight Deck Officer Program. Boy. That program was created in response to the September 11th attacks, which seemed and allows airline pilots to undergo special training to receive TSA authorization to be armed in the cockpit on domestic flights. to defend against crimes like hijacking. Excuse me. The TSA told CBS News that Dunn had been removed from the FFDU program. Delta and the TSA did not immediately respond to insiders' request for comment sent outside U.S. working hours. So they can't respond because it was out anyway. Dunn is scheduled to be arraigned on November 16th. So 10 days from now, he will be arraigned. I would like, it's too bad that the article didn't talk about the reasons why. Was the flight ultimately diverted? I'm guessing not, because the captain was probably not wanting to get shot by this dude. Similar to the Alaska Airlines, Horizon Airlines situation. Seems like this guy probably wasn't stable. If you're carrying a gun in the cockpit, shouldn't you have maybe regular checkups? I don't know. Maybe he did have all of these things. I don't really know. Sounds like somebody's out of work and going to jail. Yeah. So. So Archie chimed in. Air Canada lost a passenger to heart attack, possibly because no diversion. Yee, that's bad. Not that it's, depending on where you are, you may or may not be able to get any help anyway. I know Jason's told me that the flight attendants are trained EMT type folks, but if you have a heart attack, there may not be a whole lot you can do. Jason is traveling, by the way. I think he was in the beach place in Florida. Anyway, Margaritaville, wherever that is. Destin. I think he was in Destin, and then he was Key West last week. So a little jealous of the beach time, frankly, but yeah. So we'll stay tuned to see what happens. He'll be arraigned in 10 days, so we will check back to see what happens with this Delta pilot. I'm guessing, like I said, he's going to jail. He's going to federal Poundia prison. Office space for you.
How about no?
Yeah. All right. Got this from Jim Smith. Jim Smith is not usually. I should have saved it for Wednesday. He's usually not here on Monday, but hopefully, Jim, this is your second reference that I've got for you. But Jim sent me this article. Transatlantic airplanes are flying at the speed of sound right now, and here's why. Could it have something to do with the jet stream, perhaps? All right. Savior of many cramped pair of legs, the jet stream is well known for lopping roughly an hour off long-haul west to east flights. So, like, in my case, Los Angeles to London, perhaps. But it's working especially hard for travelers in economy class right now, with the jet stream over the Atlantic so strong that flights heading from the U.S. to Europe are reaching speeds equivalent to that of sound. That's pretty sweet. Sound travels at about 761 miles per hour, or 1,100 feet per second at sea level at standard conditions, according to NASA. This equates to a little over 661 knots. In the past 24 hours, passenger aircraft traveling east from the U.S. across the Atlantic have reached up to 778. That's a little over 200 miles per hour faster than normal cruising speeds. But if you're thinking these flight times are a match for the much missed Concorde, whose sonic booms used to mark it for breaking the sound barrier, it's time to think again. There's a difference between ground speed and speed in the air. Indicated airspeed, essentially the speed of the plane in relation to the air around it. These passenger flights, however speedy, didn't break the sound barrier. Oh, well, actually, that's probably good. I don't think the airplane would like that. But they did slash flight times. Emirates Flight 222 from Dallas to Dubai arrived 57 minutes early on November 1st, having reached a top speed of 675 knots, or 777 miles per hour off the coast of Newfoundland, according to flight tracking site FlightAware. American Airlines Flight 106 from JFK to Heathrow arrived 54 minutes early on Wednesday morning with a flight time of just 6 hours and 7 minutes. It reached a top speed of 778 miles per hour, or 676 knots, also just past Newfoundland. Meanwhile, Delta Flight 186 raced from LA to London with top speeds of 760 miles an hour, arriving half an hour early on November 1st at 1:08 p.m. A KLM cargo, blah, blah, blah. The Jetstream. What is the Jetstream? What could it be? The Jetstream is a core of strong winds around 5 to 7 miles above the Earth's surface, blowing from west to east, as the UK's Met Office describes it. It's the reason why eastbound flights tend to be shorter than westbound ones, with long-haul flights racking up time differences of an hour or more, depending on the direction of travel. 7 miles above the planet's surface is equivalent to around 37,000 feet. Okay. Which means the aircraft at cruising altitude slip easily into the jet stream. And it's the rapidly cooling weather stateside this week, now heading to Europe in the form of Storm Ciarán, that's responsible for speeding up the winds, according to CNN meteorologist Sarah Tonks. This week's burst of cold air in the United States has upped the difference in temperature between the United States, which is cold, the Atlantic Ocean, which is warm, she says. The increase in the temperature gradient is amplifying the speed of the jet stream, which is driven by temperature differences. I thought it would be pressure differences. The jet stream is expected to help strengthen Storm Ciarán, a low-pressure system and potential bomb cyclone that is expected to arrive in Europe on Wednesday. What day was this? This was on November 1st. So that storm has hit the UK, apparently, I would guess. Did you get bombed, David? Remember, ground speed is how fast the airplane is traveling relative to a fixed point on the ground versus airspeed, yada, 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 so on and so forth. However fast the flights this week, they have little way to make up for some record-breaking flights pre-pandemic. In February 2019, a Virgin Atlantic plane flew at 801 miles per hour from Los Angeles to London. Wow. Reaching its... Whoa, hey, what are we doing? That's fine. Reaching a top speed... Pennsylvania, thanks to a 200-mile-an-hour jet stream. What are we doing here, computer? Computer is deciding. I'm going to keep my hands off. I don't know what to do. Anyway. The aircraft, a Boeing 787 Dreamliner, usually has a cruising speed of around 560 miles per hour. Virgin founder Richard Branson described it as flying faster than any commercial non-supersonic plane in history. Well, I'm glad we had Richard Branson weigh in. I mean, I don't know what we would do without that. Its record was broken the following year by a British Airways Boeing 747. The BA Jumbo clocked in at 825. I need to read something out loud before the stream starts, because I always get this dry throat tickle. All right. And et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then a bunch of stuff I don't really care about. Right. RTS, will gates be available for that early of an arrival? Probably not. The aircraft gate choreography, I think, is pretty rigid, especially if you're going into London. With limited runway space, limited gates, I think you're probably going to be put in timeout for a while. That's my guess. And David adds, speeds can be up to 100 miles an hour. Yeah, and according to this article, they're occasionally up to 200. So that's pretty crazy.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, you got to sit around on the tarmac because you're so fast. That would be that. I mean, that's the ultimate thing. You're probably at the end of a 6 to 10 hour flight and you're thinking, hey, we're going to land. And then you get to sit on the airplane. Ugh, That would not be enjoyable. Not enjoyable at all. So, all right, originally got this particular article from Jason. I don't know if this circulated on American, but this was an American Airlines flight attendants create makeshift barrier out of seatbelts to keep passengers away. How much service you'll get on a U.S. airline flight varies a lot. Some crews are helpful and engaging. Others retreat to the galley and play Candy Crush or read People. A couple of American Airlines flight attendants so badly didn't want to be disturbed by passengers on a flight from Dallas to Toronto on Sunday that they constructed a barrier to keep customers out of the galley area. Flight attendants are given seatbelts for safety demonstrations on American Airlines. Since the airline has removed seatback entertainment screens from domestic planes and can no longer show safety videos. And they get their seatbelt seatbelt extenders for larger passengers. But seatbelts have another ingenious use to crew, apparently. Prevent them to having to provide service to customers. This is not a good look. Yep, not a good look. Hey, American Air, do you allow your crews to block access to rear exits during flights so your flight attendants can sit and chat? Yeah. Interesting. I would like to. It's too bad Jason is not here today because I would like to get his take on this. Are these flight attendants going to get busted for this? I don't know. That pretty much says that they're not interested in seeing anyone. Southwest Airlines flight attendants are known for their enthusiasm and fun, and bad jokes. Delta cabin crew are known for offering marginally friendlier service. In both cases, and on average, they don't seem to hate their jobs. American, they are working on a strike authorization. So, the flight attendants have authorized the strike. So we'll see what happens with that. But is this because of that, or is this just because the two? I don't know how many flight attendants are back there. Maybe there's two. Maybe there's just one. I don't know. It would be fascinating to get Jason's take on this, though. While there are great crew members at American and United, the sense at those airlines is different. There are too many flight attendants who shirk, and that makes it tough for those who want to provide great service. It's demoralizing, and it brings down the service even the good ones provide. Being happy at work requires being well, or at least fairly compensated, but it also includes feeling like you're on a mission that's bigger than yourself, doing something important. I should be taking notes. And it requires respecting your colleagues, feeling that you're in this together and trying to build something. I like that. That's some nice word salad there. Feeling like you're in this together and trying to build something. I like that. I should write that down. Maybe Bodacious could write that down for me. Right now, American Airlines flight attendants are in confrontation mode over contract negotiation, but threats of a Christmas strike are just about pay. The airline has been lacking a clear purpose to rally around other than not spending a dollar they don't need to, and there's no mechanism to remove the bottom 1% of performers who make life more difficult for all other employees, making them pick up the slack and demoralizing them. Yep. Archie weighed in with the FAA might have an opinion on blocking an exit. Yeah, I think that could get you busted, I think. Whether there's any actual consequences.
What's wrong with the picture?
Yeah, I don't think that's good. That is an emergency exit area. They allowed access to the toilets, but not to get out of the airplane. I think that's bad. This has been very active. 127 comments. Let's just check the first one. Everybody is blaming everybody else, but no one wants to deal with the elephant in the room, the actual people that fly. The above situation is more likely to happen when the customers are badly behaved. Perhaps. You can put up a sign or or a single belt and you get people yelling, pushing, etc., there's always somebody on a plane causing trouble. That's what FA are trained to deal with, and it's always been that way. But now there's verbal and physical attacks, and some kind of nut trying to kill everybody by opening doors that shouldn't be open. It's a jungle out there. This person was an RN for 25 years, and I see the same type of things happening to nurses, threats, violence circling the wagons. That's the problem, I think. I didn't actually see a problem statement. Did I miss that? Now, what to do about it? The first and easiest thing, I suppose, is some kind of behavioral rules. People need to follow whatever rules or they walk. It would have to be tough. What it comes down to is flying a privilege or a right. Hard question, but something has to change. Randolph Guevara. I don't know about Randolph. I don't know. I didn't really see him state the problem. They're badly behaved. People are always badly behaved. I think Randolph is saying that we allow bad behavior, perhaps. I don't know. I can get passengers can suck and are demanding. That being said, why are you in customer service if you cannot handle the stress of dealing with people? However, we do not know the whole story here. What pushed them to this point? Now, I would argue that a flight attendant is actually a safety position. It's not a customer service position per se. It's something that they do, but it's a safety position ultimately. So, and then we have a defender of the flight attendants. What if they were having their meal and wanted some minutes to eat? People is so dramatic. People are so dramatic, acting like the whole, like, oh boy, I find it hard to read poorly written English. Whole flight they had the, I can't, I'm not even gonna try. All right, I'm gonna move on. What are you guys' thoughts? This is a picture, and we don't know the whole story. So maybe if Jason's here Wednesday, we can ask him. So let's get to something that I think is more fun. Yay, rockets are fun. All right. It's almost showed. So this is my kind of news. I like this stuff. All this other stuff is like, wah. A lot of people whining about flight attendants. Flight attendants are like everyone else in the world. They have good days, they have bad days. To assume malice by a particular flight attendant or a particular passenger is jumping to conclusions, and you're making assumptions about people. You have no idea. Their dog could have died the day before, and they just needed a 10-minute break from passenger yelling at them for more water. You don't know. So to make assumptions, you know what happens when you make assumptions, right? There's a whole saying there. So David says, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. 100% agree with that, David.
Be excellent to each other.
Everybody, it was pointed out to me that a while back that if you make an assumption that everybody is trying to do their best, I don't think a lot of people would, if you ask that question to people, do you think people are doing their best? A lot of people are going to be hell no, and a lot of people are going to be, yeah, I think so. So if you really think about it, in most cases, I've thought about this a lot over the last month. More likely than not, I think people are trying to do their best. Their best may not be what you want it to be, and that's part of the problem. That's where the disconnect comes in. But I think their best is, what they're able to do at that moment in time. So, like I said, it may not be what you want. All right. SpaceX will again target a morning liftoff for the rocket. So if I am at my computer and available, I plan on doing a live stream for this. I should probably have one just once I get a date. I will tentatively schedule one, but I haven't got a date yet. So, SpaceX announced on Friday that the company is targeting mid-November, and so mid-November is like next week, really, for the second flight test of the Super Heavy rocket and its Starship upper stage. The company said the launch date is pending regulatory approval, which means the FAA and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service have yet to complete the environmental review process for the rocket and its launch site, which is surrounded by wetlands in South Texas. Which you think that they've already done this for the first launch? Anyway, bureaucracy sometimes takes time. Even so, the SpaceX announcement indicates the company believes it may soon receive this regulatory approval. This is consistent with what sources have told ARS, that federal approval for the second launch of Starship is close to wrapping up. If you didn't know, the first full stack of Starship lifted off from South Texas on April 20th earlier this year. The rocket launched despite 3 of its 33 main Raptor engines not fully igniting after liftoff. 3 more engines failed during ascent. After a couple minutes, the vehicle was ultimately destroyed by its flight termination system as it veered off course. SpaceX nonetheless obtained valuable data. There were issues with not just the rocket, but the launch site as well. The company built its first launch tower without a flame diverter, which I still don't know why they did that. It's dumb. And other structures to help mitigate the power of the 33 main engines. As a result, there was a significant damage to the launch pad, and the energy of the launch ejected concrete into the surrounding wetlands. Yeah, that's bad. And that could be why the review is taking much longer. So, in the months since, with its characteristic rapid pace, SpaceX has completed the rebuild of the launch pad, instituted a water sound suppression system to dampen the energy of liftoff. And that's misrepresenting it a little bit. They put a steel plate, and they're going to water cool the steel plate to keep it from melting. There was a suspicion that the rockets igniting when they blew the big hole in the ground underneath the liftoff or under the launch tower, that actually damaged 3 of the engines. So we'll see. SpaceX will again target a morning liftoff for the rocket, perhaps around 8 a.m. local time in South Texas. So that'd be 7. The earliest possible launch date is November 13th, but nothing is set in stone. So I will probably set I'll probably put a live stream on the calendar for the 13th. Yeah, that'd be cool. All right. Blah, 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 blah. 90-minute flight of the Starship upper stage, which is intended to complete nearly a full orbit before splashing down in the Pacific near the island of Kauai. One notable change is the addition of a hot staging ring between the Super Heavy booster and the Starship upper stage. This technique will call for the Starship's Raptor engines to ignite before the upper stage separates from the Super Heavy first stage. This is more technically challenging than waiting for the stage separation, but will eventually result in a higher payload to orbit capability for Starship. That's what Russian rockets do. My understanding is the Russian rockets do it. There's basically a perforated ring between the stages, and they ignite the upper stage, which forces all the there are small tanks that are pressurized to get the second stage started, and that little boost of energy causes the forces to push the remaining propellant down towards the pickups so that it can then burn out of the main tanks. That's my understanding of why you would do that. But you are directly blasting the second or the first stage. Obviously, that results in blasting the boosters, so you've got to protect the top of the booster stage from getting incinerated by the upper stage engines. Yep. This would add roughly 10% improvement to the Starship's rocket payload capacity. Interesting. SpaceX will not seek to recover either the first or second stage of this flight. The goal instead is to prove the capabilities of the Super Heavy rocket, and if the stack reaches separation, the performance of Starship, there's about a 60% chance that Starship will reach its destination on this flight. So this will be cool. I'm looking forward to that. So stay tuned for that. We will, again, it looks like the 13th. I'm going to make a note. I'm going to have a stream scheduled. I'll do some more research, but we'll check on that. For the Super Heavy. Should be a good show no matter what. It's interesting, the first attempt, because the engines failed on the ascent, it never reached the staging altitude, so it never actually staged. So this if it reaches out the proper altitude for staging, that's a pretty big deal. I really don't think, I give it 30% chance of making orbit is my guess, but we shall see. Archie says, sounds like an EPA money grab to me. EPA knew they were going to launch rockets. Yeah, this is not a new thing. They've been building this place. I was there in 2021, I guess. It's not new. All right. This popped up. Always like it when they talk about boarding for Southwest. Southwest, I believe, thinks that they have the right way to board. So the airline has fixed something that still plagues customers and airline personnel on Delta, American, and United. The entire process of boarding a plane, at least for people in coach or economy seats, seems like it was designed to punish passengers. Every airline does it a little differently, but aside from Southwest, they all use roughly the same process. People with higher price tickets go first, usually along the top tier loyalty program members. Sometimes families with kids get to pre-board, but on some airlines they board with the first group or just after it. Not two airlines do exactly the same thing, but when flying United, Delta, or American Airlines, if you're sitting in the cheap seats, you can expect a similar process. That almost always involves no specific order, since a group gets called to board. That leaves people in last groups crowding around the gate hoping to get a good place in line once their group gets called. Generally, this push to get the plane isn't because people want to spend as much time sitting in cramped seat as possible. It's often because they want access to the overhead bin space. Yes, I would agree with that. People bring giant bags on. Being able to store your bag in the overhead bin on these major airlines solves three major problems for passengers. First, they won't have to wait at baggage claim for the luggage. Second, they won't have to worry about their bags somehow not getting on the plane. Third, and this might be the most important one, carrying your bag on means you avoid having to pay the extra fees for all three airlines charge for checked bags. That's usually a significant savings and forces people who might otherwise happily check their bag try to carry it on. What happens when airlines run out of overhead bin space? The last thing an airline wants is for passengers to board a plane with a bag that there may not be room for in its overhead bins. When that happens, they're forced to gate check the bag, which can slow down the boarding process, especially if the passenger tries to argue the decision. It happens all the time. Since that can lead to a plane not making its scheduled departure, airlines will often offer free gate checks before the boarding process begins. In some cases, airlines may also mandate that people boarding towards the end gate check any bags that can't fit under their seats. This can lead to a situation where angry passengers who are forced to gate check their bags end up getting on a plane and seeing empty overhead bin space. That space, however, may not be near their seat, and no airline wants to deal with passengers having to move in both directions in the aisle to get back to overhead bin space that may have been filled since they passed it by. It's a messy situation and has generally been solved on the newest planes, which simply have larger overhead bin areas designed to leave more rooms for every passenger. Okay, this is long. All right. Southwest Airlines has a simple solution. Southwest Airlines, even on its older model planes, does not generally have this problem. It rarely needs to force or even ask passengers to gate check their bags. Yeah, I can't imagine. I don't remember ever seeing that, actually. That's not an accident, according to aviation industry expert Gary Leff, who explained why Southwest does not face the same problems as United, Delta, and American. Southwest doesn't charge for checked bags, so passengers don't schlep nearly as much on board. It's also possible that Southwest makes back some money it's not collecting. Makes back some of the money it's not collecting. If some of the money it's not collecting baggage fees. This also helps Southwest board and deplane quickly, spending less time on the ground where planes aren't making money. So they're saying that because bags are free, people don't schlep them on the airplane, therefore boarding is faster. It's a really long article to get to that. Oh, this is our buddy Daniel Klein. Yeah, we've seen Daniel Klein before. American Airlines led the industry with $521 million in checked bag fees in 21, according to the U.S. Transportation Administration data published by Statista. It was followed by Delta at $359 million and United at $341 million. Boy, Americans got a lot more. Southwest only had $25 million, which would be from passengers who checked more than 2 bags who went over the baggage weight limits. All right. David says, lots of theft from overhead bins where passengers are separated from their bags. Yeah, I've often seen. I've never seen anybody that I thought was had thieved or were. I've never seen anybody on a plane say that they've been stolen from, but I've never quite understood a lot of people will take the first spot they can find when they get on the plane, and then they go to the back where they're sitting. I personally am paranoid enough that I wouldn't do that, but what do I know? Just because I wouldn't do it, I don't. Yeah, not my deal. So, all right. USA Today says. David says baggage fees are a big reason to stick to legacy airlines. Because bag fees are good? I'm not sure I understand the... David, I'm not sure I'm understanding why it's a good reason to stick to... Legacy would be Mainline, British Airways, United, Delta, those guys. Or what I think of legacy. All right. Here is an opinion column from USA Today. And this is this comes up from time to time. Should you do this? Switching seats on a flight is tricky, annoying. Why everyone needs to stay put. This is from Christopher Elliott. Hey, he's a
You're one of those little fancy lads, aren't you?
Chris Elliott. Because legacy airlines don't have baggage fees except for basic seats. Well, they do in the United States. Delta. The only reason I don't have a baggage fee when I fly Delta is because I have silver status. Otherwise, I'd be paying $30 for a bag. My wife recently flew back to East Coast and had to pay for a bag. I've had to pay. I don't have any status on United, so I pay a bag fee there. The only one I don't pay a bag fee for is Southwest. Pay for bags on Spirit. That's not really legacy. Yeah, the only airline that I'm aware of that doesn't charge a bag fee if you don't have any sort of status is Southwest. At least over here. Could be different in the UK. But over here in the United States, yeah, Alaska, I pay for bags in Alaska, so even when yeah, no, last time I flew Alaska, that was in regular economy. So anyway, back to switching seats. Enough with switching airline seats already. Swapping seats seems to be a thing lately. Maybe you've watched those viral videos which feature people changing seats without permission. Naughty. And other entitled passenger behavior involving airline seats. Or maybe you've seen the Reddit threads in which passengers tried to trick their fellow passengers into switching seats. Someone has to say it, so I will. Please stop trying to swap seats. And Jason has made it clear, because of the way seats are priced, they're not allowed to move you. The airline prevents them from moving you. A recent survey by Kayak revealed that passengers are sharply divided on this issue. Yeah, I did a poll on this. A narrow majority approved switching seats, but only if you ask politely. But 64% of travelers said they would not allow seat switching with their travelers who claimed they're nervous flyers, and 77% disallowed if the requester doesn't like their assigned seat. Allow me to read between the lines. You can ask to switch seats if you need to sit next to your younger kids or an elderly relative you're caring for. But otherwise, stay put. Switching seats on a plane can sometimes be a tricky situation. Yeah, says Carla Bevins, who teaches business management communication at Carnegie Mellon University. She said, there are some instances where you absolutely may not switch seats. For example, when you are in different classes of service, when you're sitting in an extra row, or when the fasten seatbelt sign is illuminated. Why should you stay in your seat? Why should you stay put? Apart from safety reasons, seat switching is one of the easiest ways to get into a no-win confrontation with a fellow passenger. Just think, you could star in your very own viral video and get kicked off the flight. Yep. Remember, most people on an airplane would rather be just about anywhere else. Most people don't want to be there. They don't like the flights. They see it as a necessary evil to get from point A to B. And if I'm on the airplane next to the window, I don't want to move because I want the window to look out of. Anyway. Changing seats can even make your flight more dangerous, both for you and your fellow passengers. Every flight has a manifest with information about each passenger. That can include allergies, special meals, or connecting flights. I think Jason would argue about the connecting flights part, but at best, you may end up with someone else's in-flight meal. At worst, you could end up using your EpiPen or even forcing an emergency landing because you're having an allergic reaction to a meal or a nearby pet. On smaller planes, a seat switch can affect the safety of the entire aircraft. Before each flight, the crew checks to ensure the aircraft is properly balanced. I've actually heard this one. If you move, you could shift the plane's balance in the wrong direction, making it harder to fly the plane. But that's not the only reason to sit in your assigned seat for the duration of the flight. Switching seats is disruptive. Too often, it ends with an unnecessary face-off between passengers. Is it asking too much just to sit in your assigned seat? If you don't like the seat you got, it's kind of your fault. You should have booked earlier. Yeah, that's how I look at it. When I asked etiquette experts about changing seats, I got an earful. In the past, they might have offered their best advice for changing seats politely, but the experts I consulted seemed to suggest most forms of seat switching are just rude. How dare you? Rosalind Oropeza Randall, an etiquette expert, said you don't have to play along. If someone asks you to switch seats, you are not obligated to do so or even consider it, she said. You have the right to decline, politely, of course.
This could be a cultural misunderstanding.
Her pro tip. The other passenger may want to know why you won't move, but you don't have to give a reason. You may say something like, I prefer to stay where I am, she said. I like that answer. Diane Gottsman, an etiquette expert who runs the Protocol School of Texas has a protocol school, interesting, said seat switching should not be an issue. It's always best to plan ahead if you know you're going to need extra legroom or want to be seated next to your best friend. I agree, but I think Airlines deserve some of the blame for seat switching epidemic. By forcing their economy class passengers to pay extra for seat assignments, they've created an underclass of passengers who show up for the flight without assigned seats and then try to negotiate their way out of the middle seat. Oh, so it's class warfare. So that's it. It's class warfare. Airline, we've created an underclass of people flying in this middle tube 5 miles above the earth. Oh, please. Airlines could end the seat switching trend quickly if they allowed their passengers to choose their seats without hitting them up for more money. Until then, maybe you should just stick to your assigned seat. It's just part of the expense. If $30 for a seat is going to make or break your trip, I question whether you should be going on a trip. Maybe I'm I'm part of that class warfare that they talk about, but anyway, I just find that same with the bag fees, the $30 bag fee. So I'm up to $60 now. But again, if $60 is going to make or break your trip to Southern California, I think you've got other problems. Bad parking at SeaWorld, which is the video I'm working on, is $30. You haven't even gotten into the park yet, and they've already soaked you for $30. If you want good parking, and by good I mean relatively closer, it's $60. So it's just, if you're traveling on vacation, it's expensive. Anyway. All right, let's see. David, I think families should be offered seats together, but only if you book at the same time. Book at the booking time.
Be excellent to each other.
That's true, but I meant to do this. I agree with that, and I think that's finally true. At least it's true on Southwest. They have some sort of family boarding time now. But people could be gaming that system too. So David also says, I wouldn't move because I would have selected that seat deliberately. So you're in that upper class that chooses to sit in a particular place. See, according to this person or one of these etiquette experts, that's you're creating a class warfare situation. Let's see. Archie says, I understand seatbelt extender passengers may not sit in an exit row. I'd have to ask Jason on that. But that sounds like it's probably true. Yeah, if you need, I'm going to leave that one alone. I would say the last person asked me to swap seats still eats through a straw. I love that. I'm going to give that some hearts. Yeah, one of the best travel tips, and I threw this out a long time ago. This is your introvert travel tip of the day. Okay. And you see it constantly when you're traveling. All you got to do, either when you get on the airplane, that's not what I wanted. I wanted that one. All you got to do when you get on the airplane is make sure you have some very easy to see earbuds and have them plugged into your phone and just pretend that you're like rocking out or something. You're listening to something. The probability of someone trying to chat you up when you've got earbuds in or headphones of any sort, even the big giant ones that go over your, the air traffic control headphones, is a great way to prevent the extroverts from assaulting your introverted area. That's kind of a harsh way to put it, but that's one of my strategies. Every once in a while, because occasionally I get chatty, not very often, but yeah, it's interesting from time to time. I'm having an issue. Let's go back to the article. I'm trying to switch, and it doesn't want me It's not allowing me to switch to the next article. How weird. I'm having technical difficulties.
What's wrong with the picture?
It has totally locked up on me. That is so weird. Let me pause. I'm going to pause and see if I can get this fixed. All right. Yeah, my browser has completely crashed. It's like locked up. It's on screen, but it's crashed. So I'm going to probably going to save the last two articles. I can't scroll. My mouse is still showing up. I wonder if my mouse is like almost dead and doesn't have any juice. Doesn't have enough juice to click. That would be weird. Perhaps my mouse is so drained. I'll have to move it over here. See if that's the issue. That's weird. Super weird. Doesn't have enough juice to click. Nope. I think we're done for the day. Kids, friends. I had two articles left, but my mouse is I don't know if it's my mouse or my computer. My computer's been acting weird. I uninstalled a few things over the weekend because they were slowing everything down. So yeah. So I can respond to comments. Let's see. David says maybe getting a temporary tattoo of a gang member to avoid people trying to talk to you. That or a Hannibal Lecter mask. I don't know if you could get on the airplane these days. So Archie says enjoyed the South Beach hotel review. Hope you all saw it. Still one of my favorite hotels. Loved the location on the beach. See now it moved. I'm still gonna wrap it up there. My computer is possessed. So we're gonna finish up the chat. Any guests Wednesday night? Nothing confirmed at this time. Nothing confirmed. So stay tuned on that. I have not. In there, it's back over there. Weird. Weird. All those something's going on. I'm gonna have to do some research. The other thing, I downloaded this. Norton's got this performance thing, and that seems to be where all my weirdness had begun. So I think I'm gonna get rid of that because I don't think I like it. So anyway, so no plans necessarily for a guest. Possibly, I might have Jason back on because Jason's always fun to have. And I have not had Matt for a while. I have actually not even seen a video from Matt in a while. I don't know if Matt's had a new video for a while. So I need to catch up with Matt and see what's going on in his world. But I think I have. If I could turn the camera around, I think I've got the Cumulus backdrop. It's always a pleasure. Anyway, use a wired mouse. Yeah, it just always gets in the way. I don't have a big work area. I got the soundboard, keyboard. Yeah. Anyway, Archie says, it's always fun. Thank you, my friend. It is always fun. So I will save the last two articles for Wednesday evening. And hope you all have a lovely rest of your Monday. David, I hope you have had or are going to have a lovely dinner this evening. Let's see. Our time finally did change, so we are, I think it is just about 11 in the morning here in Boise, so I'm guessing it is, whatever that make it, 6 in the UK? Is it 6 p.m. in the UK there, David? Something like that. Anyway, all right, friends. Thanks for dropping by. Let's see, last sound effect. I didn't get to use my squirrel today.
He made me this collar so that I may talk. Squirrel!
I didn't use it.
When I return, I shall be a cabin man.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and if you didn't know, Ryan Blaney won the NASCAR championship. Listening to his radio communications during the race, yeah, don't really care for that guy. So remember,
get busy living or get busy dying.
Have a great week, everyone. And I plan on seeing you Wednesday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So ta-ta and bye-bye.